Hey there everybody, this is Shadowgirl and welcome to my how to ideally unlock everything in Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate. Basically how I feel the easiest way to do it is. Basically I did a guide for this 4 years ago when Microsoft originally announced that they were going to put like the Xbox versions of Dead or Alive, the Dead or Alive 1 Ultimate, Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate, Dead or Alive 3 and Dead or Alive 4 onto the Xbox Marketplace so you can play them on your Xbox One and such. And I originally did a guide for that, and well, a lot of the complaints I had from that was basically I wasn't really enunciating everything correctly, or I sounded like I was constantly chewing on peanut butter, and heck, even one comment said I sounded drunk, which I'm fairly certain back then was not the case. But yeah, it got me thinking that I wanted to like redo this particular guide, and so here we are doing it. So one thing I kind of want to make a point of is one of the unlocks in the US version of Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate is the ability to use the booster disc. Now, anybody who has been a die-hard fan of Dead or Alive 3 and of the series in general actually knows what the booster disc is. But for those who don't know, when the US version of Dead or Alive 3 was released, I believe it was meant to be released around the time that the OG Xbox was launched, or as a launch title. But because it was somewhat rushed, they only really had all the basic things, and then they didn't actually have any of the unlockables ready at the time. And when it came to for the PAL version release, which I believe was also a launch title, they actually managed to have enough time to actually put all the unlocks in on that version of the game. So what they ended up doing was basically using the Xbox Magazine's demo discs. Basically put a patch in on those discs where you could just put the disc in the Xbox, run it, and it basically adds all the unlockable costumes and such. Now with I know certain unlock in Dead or Alive 2 was changed as far as ease of access is concerned. I believe it's probably the reason why, but I don't know whether they'd also had the booster disc stuff enabled or disabled on the US version of Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate on the Xbox Marketplace version, or if even the version of Dead or Alive 3 for the Marketplace already has everything, already has the extra costumes installed on it. I don't actually know about this, but if anybody else has an idea who lives in those areas, feel free to comment and mention if that's going to be the case or not. So the first thing you'll want to do in order to unlock everything in Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate is to get the 3 hidden characters in the game. All of them are based on beating story mode. 2 of them are with 2 specific characters. Now what I'm showing you here are what the default settings are for story mode. You have to keep these settings as they are. The only exception they can change is difficulty. As long as it's normal, hard or hardest, you still get the unlocks, but if you mess with the life bar or the timer settings, the unlocks will not happen. I have had a couple of comments on other Dead or Alive videos saying I've tried to unlock this character and I do not know why, and 9 times out of 10 it has been because of the settings, saying that, oh hey, you've messed with the settings, you are not getting the unlocks. The first character I'm going to explain how to unlock is Bayman, and to basically do it because he shares similar fighting style to that of Leon. You beat the game as Leon, it's just that simple. Should note is that after the credits roll, if you've unlocked a character successfully, you'll get the prompt saying that you've unlocked that character. The next unlockable character I want to talk about is Hitomi, and as I mentioned previously, there is one unlockable in the game that got changed between the original version of the game and the Xbox Live Marketplace version of the game. I'm not sure as to why. Maybe it's because due to the basic conditions of the unlock probably can't really be done on the Xbox One hardware for reasons, because the original way to do this was to beat the game with Ein and either have a save file of Dead or Alive 3 or Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball on the Xbox hard drive, and I'm probably assuming that's probably why they changed it to be just unlocking Hitomi by beating Ein's storyline in the game. Maybe it's probably because we're never going to see Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball ever again. But again, just like with Bayman, you'll get the prompt after the credits roll saying that you unlocked Hitomi. Finally, we have the big bad himself, the Tengu. He's also an unlockable character. In order to unlock him, he's probably the simplest of all of them, arguably, but also probably the difficult one in case you don't really like certain characters, not playing them as much, because you have to beat story mode with everybody in order to unlock him. So with what's probably the easiest part of unlocking everything out of the way and unlocking the remaining 3 characters, it's time to do the grindy part. In order to get everything in this game, you need to unlock every costume in the game for every character. There's 2 ways of doing this, depending on how you feel about grinding story mode and time attack, or grinding survival is whichever way you feel is fine for you. But the other way, one way you can do it is with any character that you can play in story mode. You play story mode on like harder difficulties, essentially to get costumes for them, especially the female characters. The female characters have up to 20 costumes, and to get the last 5, I believe you have to play on hardest difficulty. And as for the 3 unlockable characters, you have to play time attack instead. The other way I like to, the way I kind of want to do it, is through survival mode. As you can see, I'm playing survival mode now with Hitomi, and you can see whenever you KO an enemy or you do a down attack on an enemy, you actually get items to drop from them, and you need to collect those items. The first time you actually do this, you actually unlock the collection box, the collection thing in the main menu here, and this has 2 pages. Initially you'll only have like the first page, which will consist of pretty much the first 50 or so items. Well, the first, I think it's 52 on this page. For each character there are 3 unique items, like for example Zack's, the first 3 items are Zack's, which are like ice creams, so on and so forth. The last few, like the last 5, the carrot, the lipstick, the money bag, the rice ball, and the prototype Xbox, they can be got by anybody. They will drop as anybody as common drops, with the exception of the prototype Xbox. That one can be quite rare. The last one that you can see there is a shiny gold medal, and in order to grab the medal you need to actually get a survival score of 50 wins. Once you KO your 50th opponent in survival, the medal will drop from them instead of an item, and you have to get it. The items do despawn after a while, so if you miss it in the heat of battle, then you're kind of going to have to play survival mode again for a while. I remember originally doing this in tag mode survival because I personally thought it was a lot easier to play tag mode survival to acquire KOs rather than just go through single battle all the time. And if you're struggling to track your items and such, I have created a handy little spreadsheet on Google Sheets which you can download, and you can track your items from there. But I should mention the ideal way of actually going through survival mode trying to get all the items. It's actually a simple thing. It's one of the things where you can actually mess with the settings. Survival mode is actually one of the settings you can actually mess about with the settings, and it doesn't prohibit unlocks or anything. But what you can do with the options for survival mode specifically is you basically just set the difficulty to easy, and then set the life bars to the largest. And then what you end up doing is that you end up going in survival mode and like not the enemy down, either with like some form of combo or preferably a throw, and then you do your character's basic down attack. Now depending on the character, this is either down and punch or down and kick. It depends on, like I said, it depends on the character. And when you do a successful down attack, they drop an item. It's ideally good to do this on early fights in survival, since the AI doesn't wake up as quickly early on, like at least like through the first I want to say like 10 wins or so, the AI doesn't like waking up like super quick, and then after 10 they start waking up quickly, and eventually you're not going to get any chance of doing any down attacks. There is a universal down attack for all characters, which is pressing up and then pressing punch and kick at the same time. That one does a little bit more damage, but it also takes longer. And my personal experience with using that particular down attack has really generally been not that great. So yeah, basically just play through like the first 10 or so opponents in survival mode for your characters. Try and get your unique items, and hopefully get the Xbox. Once you've done that, you get the you grind for 50 wins to get the gold medal, and then once you've got everything on that page, including the gold medal, you actually get another page of items to spawn, and these are like the sort of the even rarer items, and they're all character specific. So there's those as well. You basically just do the same thing, go through survival mode, go through the first 10 opponents, do down attacks on them, until you get the item that you want. And essentially once you've gotten your item, or your items that you actually need, you can basically just let yourself get KO'd, and that'll save the items for you in the collections menu. As a side note, if you get the items and then you just pause and then quit the game from there, you don't actually unlock the items. But for getting all the costumes, you get the G4 icons behind the scenes video. That it's probably on YouTube somewhere, or some form of media, but it's also here. But it's only unlocked if you beat collection, and it also unlocks the booster disc, which I've mentioned pretty much at the start of the video. But I think that only works with the US version of the game, and I don't know whether it's the same thing that happened with the original versions of the games actually also applies to the marketplace versions of the game, whether you actually need the booster disc option in here to actually unlock the costumes for Dead or Alive 3. Again, if anybody knows that if you just get the Dead or Alive 3 on its own and then play it and then you get costumes and you live in the US area, let me know if the costumes unlock normally or if you actually do need the booster disc. But yeah, that is essentially how you unlock everything in Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate and get all the good stuff from it. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this is a lot more cromulent, a lot more me not sounding like I'm drunk or eating peanut butter throughout the entire thing. And I'll see you next time for whatever else I want to do. Ciao!